In life's journey, we must seek to reflect, learn, and grow. Welcome to the Road to Rediscovery with your host, Aubrey Johnson.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another amazing episode of the Road to Rediscovery. I'm your host, Aubrey Johnson. The Road to Rediscovery is about reflecting on past life lessons to learn and grow from them, and to take it to the next level and help others who are struggling through dark times. We have a very, very special treat for you. My special guest is a certified professional life coach specializing in relationships, life, and parenting. She's an optimistic coach who gives people the tools to realize their own ability for developing a positive mindset. She is among 4 panel speakers who are featured in a very special Zoom virtual event called What is a Perfect Woman? On Wednesday, August 26th, and hosted by Her Nexx Chapter, a women's empowerment organization that has built a community driven to stimulate growth and transformation. We're going to learn more about this amazing event. I'm very excited to have our special guest. Please help me introduce Nida Jawed. Nida, hi, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure, our pleasure. We appreciate you being on the show. So, okay, Nida, let's dive into this extraordinary event, right? What is a perfect woman? Can you share just overall the purpose and the message that is to be conveyed to the attendees?
Yes. So, what is a perfect woman is not a question, first of all. It's a thought. It's a thought that every woman has in her mind at a certain point in her life, because each one of us, being a woman, has been judged in some way, has exhausted ourselves trying to meet an expectation at one point or another. Mm-hmm. And at times, in the moments when you feel you are failing, you are thinking, what is a perfect woman? Because somehow I'm unable to be that person. And so the whole concept of the show is based on this thought. What is a perfect woman if it isn't me? And the message behind the discussion we want to have is, first of all, discuss the societal expectations, let's say, that every woman has to match or is expecting herself to match those standards, to be that perfection, whether it is coming from social media or a picture from a magazine. Is she that person? But what we are trying to convey to all the women, and this program will be virtually connected, women from around the world will be connecting on this platform. And the message is, you are perfect in your uniqueness. Each one of us is different. Each one of us is capable of different things. We are unique. We don't have to be exactly the same and measured on a certain scale to know how we identify or what makes us perfect. Who we are is perfect. We are perfect in our uniqueness, and it is time we all start owning that instead of comparing each other with each other, or even what we see on social media or magazines. So that's what I'm trying to, or we are trying to achieve.
That's wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful, because at some point there will be a point of realization for the attendees, right? To embrace who they are physically, spiritually, mentally, and not get so caught up in the comparisons and the just, whatever is considered imperfections, and would it be safe to say that some of those, what is perfect and what are imperfections, is that pretty much driven, unfortunately, by society from a comparison standpoint?
Yes, indeed it is. I believe so, because who I am, if someone comes across and judges me based on that, it's going to make me think, am I not perfect? If I was to share from my own example, I'm a tall girl. And if I have found myself in a group where not everyone was as tall as I am. So being a topic of discussion or being made fun of was something very typical that I was encountering. And
Mm,
when you are different in a group of people, you seem to recognize yourself differently.
right.
You obviously, when you are a little girl or you're growing up and you seem like something about you is different in comparison, you are thinking, am I not perfect? Is
Mm-hmm,
this my shortcoming?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But this is something I cannot change about myself. So the best way to deal with it is to own it. I'm tall and I'm perfect.
Right, right.
And that's exactly who I will be.
Yeah,
And
extraordinary.
absolutely. And that's a lot of self acceptance that goes in it because I have no control over another person's opinion or what they have to share. I
Right,
have control over my thoughts and
right.
how I recognize myself. And the point of this, another point this event is making is um, enabling all of our audience to recognize self first.
Yes.
Know that you have to accept yourself first. You don't have to go out and seek validation.
Mm-hmm,
If you
mm-hmm,
feel good in what you wear,
mm-hmm,
then you do look good. You don't have to ask someone, can you tell me how good I look? Just
mm,
feel good. Own that.
mm.
Because what if you feel you look amazing in your outfit and then another person turns around and says, it would have looked better if it was yellow? Then you have this whole distortion of perception in your mind.
Right, right. Um, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I every bit of that you mentioned, Nita, really resonated with me. Being a male as well, and I say it because I'm a true believer of mind over matter, and I'm a true believer of um, the way the outlook you have on life. Okay, it really emanates from within outward in your behavior, in your attitude, in how you carry yourself, and there's some sense of aura or a vibe that people perceive when they see you walk down the street, or if you are meeting a friend for coffee, as you talk, your nonverbal gestures and things like that. So that leads me to ask you, when it comes to, let's say, a woman who uh, unfortunately is just really really consumed by um, commercialism of what perfect is for a woman, and all the marketing type things that are touted out there in the world, uh, and, and let's say someone who, or let's say she transforms to one of purpose, one of power, one of embracing and owning who they are, all things about them, their height, the color of their skin, their hair texture, all those types of things. Is there a physical, visual difference that you see between those two type of women?
So, like I said before, it's all about acceptance. The one
Mm-hmm,
who is consumed by everything commercial around her,
mm-hmm,
who has started comparing herself to what the society is projecting as perfection,
right.
her, whether it be self-esteem issue
Mm-hmm,
that's underlying within her, somewhere in her personal life,
mm-hmm,
someone has made her believe that there is an issue. You are not perfect. You are somehow not accepted because
mm,
the idea we start holding on to
right.
for this example, this lady who is consumed by commercialism,
Mm-hmm,
is because she is believing that she needs this in her life.
right.
There is an underlying self-esteem issue. There is somewhere in her current environment or at certain point in her life, someone who has made her believe this. She
Mm,
never received the validation she was seeking.
yes.
Maybe in her childhood, her parents may have said something.
Mm-hmm,
Many times when I'm encountering and dealing with women, they tell me that their mom told them she is obese and she needs to lose weight. And though mom was saying it out of care, and but the fact that mother portrayed her this way and
right.
called her out for
Right.
having, or, body shamed her in a way or two,
Mm-hmm.
That is stuck around. This woman goes ahead, she empowers herself. Let's
Mm-hmm.
turn the same woman into the one that is empowered, that
Yes.
is taking control. She
Yes.
grows up to be a very well toned woman. She
Mm-hmm.
has control over her body and
Mm-hmm.
everything else. She is what she assumed to be perfection, because being obese was not so much, as she
Mm-hmm.
was told once. But even in the state of her body where she feels that this is what is perfect, and yet she is still feeling consumed by commercialism,
Mm-hmm.
she never really healed from that perception that I
Oh.
am not perfect.
Oh. Wow.
So many times
Mm.
I have seen ladies try so hard
Mm-hmm.
to be that perfect image, and to the outside world, it looks like she got it, she's owning it, she's
Right. Right.
developing it.
Right.
But there is always a projection that is saying, you have room to improve. You have to be better. This is exactly what you need to achieve that. If we talk about commercials, let's say face creams, they're talking about acne. They're targeting those that have imperfections on their face,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
indicating that beauty is important and acne is coming in the way. So you need to use that certain product.
Right.
We are
Right.
conditioned to believe that we are imperfect and
Mm-hmm.
we need to achieve perfection.
Oh, wow. And that's a relentless pursuit. I mean, well, not relentless, but it is it's futile, you know? I mean, we're not going to achieve that perfection, right? And so someone who's consumed by that, buying every type of product for their skin, for their hair, for their nails, uh, it just sounds like they're continuously unsatisfied with their physical condition or appearance. Mm.
Absolutely. And it has a lot to do that a lot to do with what is thrown at us in
I see.
commercials, what we are seeing online. Like, for
Mm-hmm.
example, if, for instance, I have a friend and she's posting one more beautiful picture than the other, she has
Yeah.
all kind of filters on her, she's just perfect. And here I am looking in the mirror and I see the wrinkles I have, and I'm
Uh-huh.
seeing, oh my goodness, I have just developed a new pimple. I'm going through hormonal changes and all this stuff
Right.
is happening to me.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
comparing myself to a filter,
Mm.
looking myself in the mirror.
Yes.
Imagine the damage I can do to myself doing so. If I
Mm.
was to take a picture and add all those filters on
Yeah.
my photo,
Yeah.
I'll be just as perfect. But it doesn't relate like this. We take a picture and we look in the mirror
Mm-hmm.
to compare and see who we are,
Mm.
because we ourselves have developed an idea of beauty.
Right.
We have ourselves developed a standard of success, let's say,
Yeah.
if we're talking about career women.
Yeah.
If I'm not reaching this point, but someone else has, there is a fault in me. What am I not doing? And
Mm.
I could be doing everything I'm capable of,
Right.
but
Right.
because I am not going in the path and direction she is at,
Mm-hmm.
I'm downplaying myself.
Mm.
You see
Mm.
where I'm going with that?
Yes, I do. I do. And that leads me to ask Nita, uh, what are some of the foundational without giving away everything that'll be presented at the
Mhm.
virtual event? Um, what are just some of the foundational strategies and approaches that one can have to develop or start to develop their self-worth? I mean, it's one thing to say, look, we need to embrace ourselves for who we are in our current appearance, and yes, I mean, all of that is true, but without having the tools and the strategy to take that step, to make that approach, it can be quite confusing and daunting for someone who is trying to grasp that empowerment. What are some of the foundational ways to approach appreciation of self and self-care?
So, as a life coach, whenever I start sessions with my client, and especially with the program that I bring with Her Next Chapter, it's
Mm-hmm.
called Her Mindful Bliss.
Mm-hmm.
This is exactly what I aim to do. And what happens is that any individual cannot have that perspective shift unless they are connected with self.
Yes.
Self-awareness and it plays a huge part when it comes to shifting perspectives, when it comes to self-acceptance. And this is exactly where the journey needs to start. Because when we are in comparison with another person, or we are not recognizing ourselves as someone capable and perfect, it is because there is a disconnection between our truth, who we are inside, and the person we are portraying and expecting people to recognize and validate.
I see.
And that if your inner self and outer self is not in sync, then how will you achieve self-awareness and appreciate the person you are? For instance, someone who loves reading is part of a group that loves music.
Right.
And she is unable to share her interest because everyone has an opinion. This is her truth that she is not exploring. She will be in her isolation when she enjoys, or when any person, man or a woman, enjoys what they like, but they feel is not accepted through others.
Oh, wow.
So at this point, self-awareness comes when we connect with ourselves and say, this is who I am. This is what I own about myself. I like it, but I don't need approval for it.
No.
I enjoy it.
Right.
This is enough for me. And of course, this mindset takes time. So as a coach, whenever I say the strategy to self-recognition starts from the same mirror, look in that mirror and look at how you are perfect. You have eyes that can see. You have a mouth that can talk. You have ears that can hear. You have a voice. You're an artist. You're a musician. You are so much more. And no one needs to tell you who you are.
Absolutely. 100%. No one. How can they tell you who you are when they are not in your shoes? They're not in your skin, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when we appreciate our own strengths, yes, each one of us has weakness, but when we appreciate our strength, what we bring to the table, how am I perfect in my own ownership of being?
Right, right.
That's exactly when I can deliver. That's how I came to be a life coach. I know how I'm gifted. I recognize my talent. I know how I am as a mother. Every mother is different, and believe me, motherhood is hard because each mother is being judged by another mother, even when we speak of generations.
Right, right.
And
Yeah.
that's not easy either. But when you turn around and you see, I have these little human beings who are smiling, who are still hugging me when I feel I'm failing, that's when you know you're doing a perfect job. Because even when you scold your little child, he or she is the one that comes back and hugs you.
They do, unconditionally, and it breaks your heart when you scold them. You know, it's a job of a parent, and like I said, it breaks your heart. But they come to you, they hug you, they smile at you. You know, that's how you know you're doing your job, right?
Absolutely. That's the reassurance that, you know what, I'm not so bad of a mother after all, because
Yeah.
I'm worth loving.
Absolutely. And you know, like you mentioned before, helping those who are consumed by this commercialism with as a coach, getting them to realize their perfection within themselves, right? And once they make that realization, it sounds like they're on the path to growth, right?
Oh, absolutely. I have seen women transform in front of my eyes.
Mm,
The course I've been coaching, I have worked with about 100 people.
mm.
And the transformations, once people connect with their truth,
Yes.
are phenomenal.
Wow. Wow. And once you make those transformations, or once we see them make those transformations, the sky's the limit, right? Because now every action and every task that they do is driven by this new mindset.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, the truth of life is we will encounter challenges.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the truth is someone will always have an opinion.
Hmm.
And the truth is that someone will always say something that is not exactly what we want to hear.
That's right.
But this is also true that people will only talk, say, and tell us what they think from their capabilities.
Right.
And
Right.
we have to know what we allow ourselves to accept because
Yes.
there's a lot of noise in our surroundings.
Yes.
We cannot hear all of it. We just have to listen to what matters and what builds us, what makes us. And the
Right.
more positive people we focus on,
Right.
more um, coaches I'll say we focus on,
Yeah. Yeah.
most of those that are, they much rather be our partners. They
Yes.
much rather want to see us evolve in a better person. I
Yes.
would say pick always the one that tells you
Hmm.
that don't worry about it. You are so good. You can do it. The words of affirmation do magic.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And most of
Completely.
the time, it's words that damage us too.
Yes.
So go towards a person that uses words of affirmation to build your self esteem, to reassure you that everything will be okay.
That's I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Those words of affirmation, they truly, truly can be the building blocks of someone's transformation, right? Because
Absolutely.
if they feel attacked, they that kind of has an impact on their self-esteem, and their self-esteem may be telling them, "I'm not good enough for this. I don't have the ability to achieve this," right? And the
Absolutely.
affirmation basically turns that around, and hopefully to the point to where they're thinking to themselves, hey, you know what, someone believes in me, someone believes in me, and
Absolutely.
if they believe in me, why can't I in myself? And then that's the realization that happens from within, at least that I feel. And then like we said, right, the sky's the limit. On the road to rediscovery, we always talk about what I call the four cornerstones to growth. And those four cornerstones are humility, self-awareness, gratitude, and service, right?
Mhm.
And to me, those are critical cornerstones. But obviously those cannot be achieved without the self-care and the self-worth, the foundational building blocks that you as a coach establishes with your clients and people. So I must commend you, Nida, for
Mm,
the care and the work that you do out there, and I must
thank you.
commend Her Nexx Chapter for holding this event. Can we chat a minute about the panel and the format? Is this going to be like a Q&A, or is it going to be like a panel presentation, or town hall type setting? What is this going to look like?
So, of course, it's virtual, and
Mhm.
myself and my guest will be actually discussing all the major areas women find themselves challenged, let's put
Mhm.
it that way.
Mhm.
Whether
Mhm.
it be as far as beauty goes, that includes body shaming, that
Yes.
includes the examples I've shared with you earlier,
Mhm. Mhm.
age,
Mhm.
all of that. And then we're going to discuss the points of what is extreme beauty makeovers. We have different beauty procedures
Right.
and surgeries as well that are being used more and
Oh,
more commonly
yeah.
than otherwise. And then
Mm.
underlying insecurities, what's
Yes.
causing it.
Mhm.
So, this will be a very informal conversation.
Mm.
This will be different in a sense that I'm, as a mindful women's coach,
Mhm.
coming in with my perspective, And then we have a beautician. We have Myra, that's
Okay.
her. We have Champagne Graves.
Right.
She is a millennial um, entrepreneur.
Right.
She has a group where she builds young women up in
Right.
their pursuits of business. And then
Okay.
we have a relationship coach. So when we're talking about the hats women wear, my
Yes.
guests bring their perspectives and expertise from their experiences. And we
Gotcha.
have this complete discussion
Hmm.
over a woman who has been thinking, what is a perfect woman?
Right.
How am I perfect?
Yeah.
And in every area that a woman represents, whether it be as a partner, as a wife, or as a mother, as an employee, or even as a boss,
Right.
you
Right.
know, there are multiple hats each one of us is wearing.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
each portion of that comes with some questions. Am I good enough of a person to fit in this role?
Right.
And at the end of the day, if you are giving your all, then know that you are perfect. You don't have to have everything on your plate.
Right.
You just need what you can consume.
I
And
see.
that's what's important. And
That's
at
what's
the
important.
exactly, and at the end of it all, it's about our uniqueness,
Hmm.
recognizing how
Hmm.
we are unique, and
Hmm.
that's exactly what makes us perfect. So that's the whole structure of this upcoming event and the conversation my guest and I will be having. And of course, we look forward to having all of our audience join in this conversation and listen to us talk, because the takeaway is a whole perspective shift. You
Mm.
may end up, you know, to the audience, all the women, you might end up hearing something you have never thought of before.
Right. Right. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, Nita. You mentioned earlier when we started off about how the name of the event is not a question, right? But it's a thought. It's a statement, right?
Yes.
Uh, and it's funny you mentioned that because the whole time while I was preparing for our conversation and going to the Her Nexx Chapter website and so forth, I took mental note that there's no question mark after this the name of this event. And then I read more into what at a high level this conversation would be about, and I thought to myself, you know what, that question mark is removed or missing on purpose, right? Because it's not meant to be a question, and to me, that that to me there's a lot of to me there's a lot to be said and to be known and heard in the
Yeah.
smallest of details and the smallest of messages, in what you say and include and what you don't say and don't include. So for me, it just spoke volumes when that question mark was not in that statement, in the name of the event. This is absolutely tremendous. Now, um, I have a question for you. And my
Sure.
question is this. Okay. First off, let's, if we can, take a quick moment and consider the current state of the world, right? And all the things that's going on in this world. I mean, from the pandemic to social injustice, police brutality. You have people who are making marches, and there's also a push for social innovation and diversity and inclusion. It's a long time coming, but it's a pretty large push, I believe. There's a certain level of awareness that is, to me, unprecedented. And it's not just with Black Lives Matter or the Me Too movement. It's of people of all color, people of all sexual orientations, and just the way and the diverse ways that we are, right? To me, it's an unprecedented level of awareness that I hope really takes things to the next level in our society. So, having said that, okay, there are a lot of people who are not women
Mm.
who um, realize and understand that there is the commercialism. There
Yeah,
are the cookie cutter statements, right?
absolutely.
And the societal type of uh, pigeonholes that uh, that puts a woman in, or tries to put a woman in a box when it comes to what is sexy, or what is
Hmm.
perfection, you know. And those people, those men, um, want to make a true conscious effort to be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. They want to contribute to the solution, whether it's in a professional setting, whether it's in a personal setting with maybe they're single and they're on the dating scene, or maybe it's in a family setting, you know? So
Right.
um, events like this, to me, are perfect ways for those men who have a true and genuine interest in contributing to the solution and want to have that awareness so that they know, you know, what areas not to to go in or to believe, or maybe to help shape other men. How can that awareness be projected to men um, in a certain conversation or forum, or how would you recommend or see a way that men who truly want to help contribute to the solution learn about these things?
Well, first of all, the group of men, let's say men as a gender,
Hmm.
each man is different, just like how every woman is different. Our
Right,
elements and structure and brain mindset, all of the principles are the same.
right.
Like we cannot paint every woman with the same brush. I would say don't paint every man with the same brush either,
That's right.
because each man is holding a different perception.
Hmm.
And those that are wanting to learn more about how they can be more gentler and how can they make the significant other, a lady in their life, feel more secure and more valued, all of these are great assets and great mindset. And it all starts by asking the one you want to value,
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
one present in your life,
Hmm.
whether it be your mother, sister, partner, wife,
Right.
whomever it would be.
I see.
And it doesn't start with an exact question if that's uncomfortable, but you can say, I love you.
Right.
What can I do for you?
Right.
Because what women really want to hear is validation.
Hmm.
And if you can make someone feel special for that perfect moment, yes, we're telling women don't seek validation because they are disappointed when that happens.
Sure.
But if she's the one coming to you and she's asking you, is my red dress okay? Instead of saying yellow would be better,
Hmm.
a man can say, this, you look beautiful, but yellow is your color. You
Mm.
blossom like a sunshine. You
Ah,
want her to change? Give her something to change for.
I see.
Let her, allow her to make a choice
Right.
because you made her feel special.
I see. I see.
And it's
Wonderful.
just a little start that starts right in your surrounding. You want to make someone feel special?
Mhm.
Learn from them.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And when you learn from them, when you learn from them, that can also transform to other females that a man may interact with in the professional environment and other places. Is that accurate?
That would be because once you
Okay.
know how to validate or appreciate the one in your presence,
Hmm.
regardless of the environment you are put in, men,
Hmm.
women will learn how to interact peacefully together,
Yes.
eliminating the sexual tensions,
Yes.
eliminating the
Yes.
stereotypical
Right.
situations or
Right.
societal pressures. I
Wow.
cannot look at her this way because she might think this way. It's
Hmm.
the equilibrium of men and women keeps shifting. We
Hmm.
have never really met at the same space and spot.
uh,
And I,
yes.
please go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's quite relatable. So true. Yeah, we continue to shift, you know, and I think these types of awarenesses that you're mentioning, and things that a man can do, to help a woman feel validated, right? And
Yeah.
giving them a choice can help get them a little closer, you know, here and not so shifted.
Yeah. She will be making her own choice, but
Yes.
man is validating that I appreciate you more.
Hmm.
We are more willing to give when we know that someone is giving something back to us.
Mm.
Why
Yes.
doesn't validation work? For instance, if we take a typical example of husband and wife,
Hmm.
wife is holding, she is coming to her husband with a question because she is holding him to a certain value and level. It matters to her what he thinks.
Hmm.
This
Hmm.
is why she's asking for his help. This
I
is
see.
why she is counting on him. This is why she wants validation that she looks lovely in her red dress.
Hmm. Hmm.
However, if a man holds her at the same level, he will go on and tell her again with the dress example. He will say or explain his part, his part of the story. I will do this for you as long as I'm done with this. And then instead of it being weeks, he can give her a time frame so
Mm.
that she knows how to set her expectations instead of just creating an expectation.
Right.
I believe the bigger challenge when it comes to men and women is that we have set expectations in, instead of realizing what the other is capable of.
I see.
And in a relationship setting, once both partners get to learn more about each other,
Hmm.
those expectations should be set based on capability. For instance,
Absolutely.
if the glass of a husband is 50% full and the wife is only 25% full, he can only expect 25% from her because if his expectations are 75% and she can only give 25%, she will end up getting exhausted trying to meet the 75%,
I
and the
see.
husband is going to get disappointed
Hmm.
because he's not getting or he's not receiving his expectation.
Mm.
So we
Beautiful.
kind of, as men and women, set ourselves up for disappointment
Mm.
instead of learning and sharing what we are capable of with the other person. We just set expectations, come in a relationship with our biases, past experiences, our own baggage that we have not shed yet.
Wow.
And
So true. Mm.
that's where the conflicts arise.
I see. You know, it's quite ironic how conflicts like that in, let's say, a couple arise, uh, that I guess foundationally happened in a previous relationship, or was sprouted from a previous relationship or a previous experience, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's where you have to
Absolutely.
peel the layers and unpack. Okay, what is the true problem here? When did this really happen? You know, are we arguing just about a washcloth that was left on the floor in the bathroom, or is there something deeper behind that, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And in coaching, when we start talking about self awareness,
Hmm.
it's one of the other elements that we go through.
Hmm.
Help the client shed the weight they've been carrying
Absolutely.
because you can only move forward when you feel lighter,
Yes,
when you
yes,
know.
yes.
And whether a man or a woman, my message would be recognize the most beautiful part of your life is that your past experience, your pain, your aggression will never be part of your present or your future again.
Mm.
That's the
That's
most
very,
beautiful
it's
part.
beautiful, reassuring, so reassuring.
Exactly. And
Wow.
at this moment, right now, you have every control to shift your perspective, start living how you choose to, and whatever actions and decisions you make right now is what will be creating your future, not your past. You don't have to live there anymore.
Right. It doesn't have to define you.
It never does. Don't
Wow.
allow it to.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, Nida. So, one last question I wanted to ask you regarding this event. If there was one key takeaway, one critical key takeaway uh, that you can give me in a statement or a sentence that you want the attendees to get out of this very, very extraordinary event, what would that key takeaway be?
At the end of the event, I hope all of the attendees connect with their personal truth and recognize I am perfect.
Awesome. Completely awesome. Completely awesome. Nita, how can the listeners learn more about Her Nexx Chapter and about this wonderful event, Zoom virtual event?
So all you really have to do is visit Her Nexx Chapter. It's NEXX
Right.
chapter.
Okay.
And there you will have all the links. My program is there as well as What is a Perfect Woman? Yes. Facebook, that's the easiest. The event page is there. Just type it in the search engine and you got it. You have got it. So that's the easiest way to connect and get to the link directly. Facebook is your go-to. So go to Facebook page, Her Nexx Chapter. It's all present there.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, thank you so much, Nita. We're going to make sure that we include direct links to Her Nexx Chapter. That's her, HERNEXX chapter.com, as well as a direct link to the Facebook page so that we'll have those in the show notes. Our listeners can click those direct links off the show notes to get engaged and get connected with the organization, perhaps with yourself and with this fantastic event. Nita, I am so grateful for you coming on the show, sharing with us the craft and the art of coaching, right? Self-care, self-realization, positive mindsets. I really appreciate you sharing the information about this event as well. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Nita.
Of course. Again, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Oh, thank you. Likewise. Such a pleasure chatting with you as well. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in and listening. The Road to Rediscovery, it's a revolution, a movement. And guess what? You are now a part of it. Thank you so much for being on the road with me. It sure feels good having you here. We'll chat again soon.